I guess I got to add some music to that, you know. Still getting
They
the
sneak right in. Silent intro.
just sneak right in, but you know, we still got that. Still love us though, right? They still love us though, right?
For sure, for sure.
What's
We
going on with you, there, T-Mitch?
great, man. Took my annual trip visit to the mouse, pay the rent and all that stuff. I had to pay my rent to the mouse, but it's been great. Great couple weeks. Leading up to a fun 2027, 2026. I guess we'll say that. For the
Okay.
last couple superhero flicks we have here. Leading up to the big one. So yeah, excited to be back on the channel as always and discuss all things nerddom. It's fun.
Yeah, it
How about
wasn't
you,
much.
man?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. You know, just winding down the summer and everything. Like you said,
Yeah,
it's been a lot of superhero content for the first part of the year, but not too much going on this back half and everything. So just trying to just wait until the big stuff comes out, like mid to late next year. If they get like a late next year into it, you never know
yeah.
how Marvel's going to go. They got to fight Doom for that
Well,
one spot.
there's only one movie next year. Two.
It's
Supergirl and Spider-Man. That's it.
okay. Well, I was talking about MCU related.
Oh yeah, there's only one
It's
then.
supposed to
Yeah,
be it's only
we only have
Spider
Spider-Man.
Man, but
Mm,
Avengers is supposed it was supposed to come out in December. I don't know if they changed
Pushed
that.
back. It's
It's
now
been
a
it's
year and a
been
half
pushed
out.
back.
Year and a
Ooh,
half. Yeah.
man, so
That's
so
a
they're
they're
mm,
even they're going through rewrites, so we'll discuss that on the back half of the show.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's crazy stuff. All right. Well, let's do a little bit of house cleaning before we get into this Thunderbolts review. My name is DP Brown. I'm a friendly neighborhood, writer of and creator of the Theme of Thieves comics, and this is my man T-Mitch from the Nerd Cyclopedia crew, and this is Nerd Cycle Comic Flick Show. Where we talk about everything pop culture wise. We talk about movies, we talk about comics, we talk about TV shows. Anything that you want to hear pop culture wise. That's outside of Star Wars because we have a dedicated Star Wars show for that. We pretty much like to talk about here. Um, but let's make sure that you catch us at some of your favorite our spots. So we have nerdcyclopedia.com, your favorite website where you get all your favorite social media platforms and stuff that we are on. We are on Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, at Nerd Cyclopedia. So make sure that you guys are giving us a follow. Give us a good subscribe too. We're on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and also hit that notification button. So anytime that we're on, you know that we're on. If you're watching us on Facebook, thank you as well. Make sure that you're clicking that like button and also clicking that share button. So anytime that we're on, you can share with all your friends and everything. We definitely appreciate that. If you listen to podcasts, we are on iHeartRadio, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher. Well, I'm sorry, Stitcher's not even out there anymore. But anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast, Apple Podcast, we're on there. So we're all over the place as far as that. And most of all, make sure that you're leaving us some feedback at Nerdcyclopedia, feedback at Gmail. Love getting some feedback from you. Please send us some. Anytime you hear our opinions on anything, if you got some discrepancies, if you got some stuff that you disagree with us with, make sure that you're leaving us some feedback and letting us know what you think about everything. So today, we're gonna get into like the Thunderbolts first, and then we're gonna talk about like some news and back half stuff regarding like the industry and like pop culture stuff. But yeah, I wanted to talk about the Thunderbolts because it came out earlier this year. We were supposed to get into it, but we're sort of backfilling movie stuff that we didn't get a chance to talk about early this year, but that we were really excited to talk about, come sometime this year and everything. We're probably going to end up getting into like Captain America. We've already done like Fantastic Four, so you can make sure that you check out our other video on a Fantastic Four review, so you can get our opinions on the movie and everything. But today we want to talk about Thunderbolts. So I guess Team Mitch, let's just to start it off. I mean, the question is, Did the MCU team up movie pass or fail in your opinion?
Um, I mean, I think it was a pass. Obviously people will have their opinions on it, but at where we, I have to look at it in a different lens. Based on where we came from in our, I'd say disagreements for where Infinity War and Endgame. Me and your disagreement to because I guess in my thought it would never get this low, but here we are. So from where we are, yeah, it's
Mhm.
definitely a pass for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was a pass and two, when I first heard that they were, coming with this movie and everything and they presented the lineup, I was actually excited because number one, it's a different take on like the what they were presenting in the movies before, and I'm always for like team up crossover stuff. So
Right.
if you can get like characters from other different sectors that didn't really relate to each other and you put them all into like, the gumbo into the movie, I'm all with like that Avengers
Yeah.
style type, getting together and pushing and pulling everybody, at first being like enemies and then all of a sudden just teaming up. I like that type of dynamic and everything. I was kind of excited for like the whole, concept. We got like the TV stuff, the streaming stuff with Winter Soldier. Well, with Wyatt Russell, U.S. agent, coming from the show and
Right.
getting bumped up into the movies, combining with our older
John,
characters
yeah.
like Winter Soldier and Falcon and everything, and then we get like some of the newer characters with like Yelena, Taskmaster, Master, and Ghost and stuff. So interesting mix. Not the most exciting characters, to put on screen, but
For sure.
it's a way for them to just do something different, and they're called the Thunderbolts because it's not a really well known property for like the casuals and everything. But I don't think Avengers was I don't think Avengers was is when it first came out back in the tens and everything too. So we got like to know like
Right.
Thor, Captain America, the Hulk. We already knew like those well known, but to put them in that type of Avengers type of movie was sort of like a different thing. What do you think? Uh oh.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of echo what you say as well, as far as my thoughts, the team up and how it's set up. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
really think that when they initially, laid the cast, I was a little skeptical of it, but I think the way the movie played out, it couldn't play out any better. Obviously, the asterisks on the name of Thunderbolts and what it became is also a fun talking point that will lead into the future for Marvel for the current time. So yeah, I kind of echo that. It also, as we get into our reviews, I mean, the one thing I will say is like when you talked about the original Avengers and how we led up and how these characters, at least some of them don't really have a backstory, but a little bit because they were kind of, maybe villains or characters in other movies. I mean, I just thought the way this was put together, it wasn't like we didn't have to really do any really origin stories. I guess if you want to discuss Bob, and we'll get into that part, but for the most part,
Right.
yeah, I mean, everybody was kind of established to some extent, and I'll say the production value of the show. I mean, when you talk about the original Avengers, because it's literally on FX or TBS literally every weekend. I just turned it on the other day, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've come so far. Movie production,
Yes, we
costume
have.
production, like
Yeah.
man, bro, those movies like they're tough to watch. I'll say that. I mean, Age of Ultron was like a big step when you talk about the way it looked, but man, those costumes really like and
Yeah.
even when you watch it in like 4K, like I could imagine watching the first Avengers in IMAX because bro, their cost like you can see so much and so much like
Right.
inconsistencies that if you seen
Right.
an IMAX, bro, I think it wouldn't be the same as like at least the back half as we got closer. But then again, we're on what 20 years now of this,
Yeah.
which is
Crazy.
crazy to
20
say, but
years.
it's been
Whew.
about 20 years.
20
So
years. Yeah. Since like the first Iron
wow,
Man,
yeah,
I
right,
mean,
20 years of
it's
this. So
just
yeah,
crazy
so
how that goes. Yeah. Um so when the the movie was announced that it was going to be into the slate after like Endgame came out, people were just like okay, Thunderbolts, not really too familiar with that. But I think after Captain America this year, which it wasn't really like well received with like a lot of MCU goers, especially with like the current trending
Right.
like Marvel movies and not really doing that great. I think it was a welcome
For sure.
a breath of fresh air and everything, because I mean, I checked out the Black Widow movie before then, okay, before I
Right.
did my
Yeah. So
rewatch and everything, and
hmm
the Black Widow movie, that's a really good movie. That's a really good MCU movie,
that's
but it's
severely underrated.
underrated.
Oh,
Yeah,
COVID-19 destroyed that movie, sadly.
exactly. And it just came out way too late. It should have came out during the whole
Should
the
have.
lead up to the Avengers
And
set and everything.
to be honest, if that debacle didn't happen in the lawsuit with Scarlett Johansson, even though it happened after, I don't think they killed Black Widow.
Yeah,
If she didn't, you know what I mean? If that didn't happen, and then the lawsuit over the earnings and because it didn't go to theater and what she was promised, if that didn't happen, I don't think we lose her as a character.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
there's a way to bring,
Because
you know what I mean? I think there'd be a way to bring her back.
because I mean she's one of the faces of like the Avengers. She's an Avenger and
Correct.
everything. So
hmm
pretty much all you have is just like Thor and her. I
Yeah.
mean you got like Mark Ruffalo, but he never had his own like movie and everything like that. You lost Chris Evans. You lost like Robert Downey Jr. Although he's coming back as Doctor Doom, but I don't know about that. We'll wait. That's a wait and see
Yeah.
until that actually happens. But yeah, the Black Widow movie was a really solid, underrated movie, just like you said, and it really established that world view from like Yelena and everything. It was a very great vehicle for Scarlett Johansson, and it
hmm
introduced like the whole characters, her whole family dynamic and everything,
Yeah.
and just watching their whole family dynamic with David Harbour, as like
Right.
the what's his name,
Red Guardian.
the Red Guardian and everything. It brought that sense of levity to that movie because it really started out really dark with like the kidnapping of like all the children and everything, all the females,
Right.
and hadn't participate in the whole Red Room. That's a really
It's
dark intro
crazy.
to that movie and everything. So
hmm
I mean, it made you think of like human trafficking and everything. Like why would you broach
To
that in
some
a
extent,
Marvel
yeah.
movie and stuff? It's crazy and stuff. But David Harbour brought that little bit of humor and brought that over to Thunderbolts. So it was sort of like a part two of the Black Widow movie. So if you were going to do like homework
Yeah.
to watch like the Thunderbolts, if any movie that you probably needed to see before then probably would have been like the Black Widow. You didn't necessarily have to watch like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Although why not? It was still an
Right.
okay show, not a
hmm
bad show. It went off the rails and towards the end there, but
Yeah.
still a good show to introduce like the U.S. agent John Walker. His stint as Captain America. I
Right.
rewatched that recently too, and that's still a solid movie. I mean, I'm
Yeah, I
sorry,
like it.
solid
The
show.
show. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good part two to the Black Widow, and it sort of like resolves some stuff that was introduced in that movie for Yelena specifically, her and
Right.
Red Guardian when they try to resolve a lot of her trauma leading up to that. So I thought it was a great through line for both movies
Yeah.
that made Thunderbolts a really good movie, especially a vehicle for Yelena.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we can address the elephant in the room, right? I was very disappointed on what they did with Taskmaster. They should have, I mean, for the character, just write her out if you didn't want her. I mean, so let's just get back to this whole synopsis of it. So the first part is everybody's pissed off because that's not even the real Taskmaster, right? So they changed the character to be essentially, and this is what pissed me off about the character because she is the creator of the widow's daughter that was brought back to life or was still saved after the bombing and all that stuff. So
Mhm.
she has the widow's capability, but also she's AI powered, so she's a step ahead. So you're telling me that somebody that strong gets caught off guard and gets shot in the head, like that really pissed me off because I really like the character, and
Right,
that to me would be one of the strongest members of this team. So for
right.
them to like write out that character, they should have just not put her in it at all because I didn't like what they did to Taskmaster at all. Like literally, it's
Yeah,
probably one of the strongest characters. It's like a super widow.
I mean, if you're going to put her in a movie, at least give us because number one, to have her in a movie, she didn't really do too much in Black Widow to make
No, she
herself
was
like
in there.
a
Yeah,
presence and everything. She was in the movie as a physical villain and everything, but we didn't really get any connection or any personality. And plus, that actress, she's like a really, she's not as well known, but she's known enough to where at least you feature her face a whole lot more to
she
give us
does.
some
Yeah,
sort of like connection, to justify her being in the next movie. So now you put her in the next movie only to try to like fool the audience and say that okay she's just going to be popped off just like that. Okay, we're going to take so it's kind of like a no holds bar, anything happens type of movie. I mean, the audience are so savvy nowadays. They see things coming. They know things are they know when tricks happen, when twists happen, and
right.
everything. It was you didn't have enough of connection to this taskmaster to justify her getting off that quick.
Well, keep in mind, she was in the original movie. All the posters, they wrote her out of the movie, so she had a bigger part. I don't know what happened,
That's
or
crazy. Why?
but
Yeah.
you remember if you look at the original posters, she's
Hmm.
in it. She's on the poster,
Yeah.
so they wrote the
Okay.
character. I mean, the stuff that you pulled, she's not even on that. How she's not on the
Hmm.
screen grab? Like, so
Hmm.
they kind of like wrote her out of it. But yeah, even the whole part of it was weird because literally, if you really think about outside the family aspect of the Black Widow movie leading into this,
Hmm.
the Taskmaster is literally Bucky. Like if you flop it, it's basically like the Winter Soldier movie.
Right.
Like she
Right.
literally is
Right.
Bucky.
Yeah.
She has,
Yeah.
the shield, same capabilities, kind of like
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
armored up, and I believe she has like vibranium. So I don't even know
Yeah.
how a gunshot to the head would even kill her. But like I
Yeah.
said,
I mean,
that's
not
another
now I'm
story.
thinking about it. The Blackwood, the way Johansson was positioned in that movie, she's like Cap,
She
going
is,
up
yeah,
against Bucky and everything.
it
That's
is. So
that's
I was,
crazy that
yeah.
you say that. Yeah.
So it's weird, but like I said, that would be my only gripe. I was like, I really wanted to see Taskmaster, and when I heard the murmurs, and then I seen her removed from the final kind of posters and movie trailers, and I don't even know if she was on red carpet and did that stuff with them. So
Mm.
I guess the writing was on the wall at that point as far as what they did with that character. But outside of that, I mean, like, you know. What were you thinking about the pacing? I mean, like I said, I thought the movie was a little short. I thought like it was we got in and out. I think I told you this after I watched it. Like,
Mhm.
dude, by the time it got going, like we were walking out the theater, and I was like, shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like it picked
Yeah.
up, and
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
like boom, and I was like, bro, this might be one of the shortest run times for an MCU movie, and I just think that's because they wanted to, as we discussed with a couple other projects. I think this is more of another safe, yeah, another
Right.
safe movie. They didn't want to like push too much.
Right.
They tried to play it safe, which is understood, based on their recent run of probably last five movies or post Endgame.
Yeah, they're trying to find like the happy medium on like how far they need to push the pace, versus what they can do. I would say that a lot of the bulk of the movie for me was good up until maybe like the last portion of it. I love more or
It
less
was
like the
rushed.
interaction. Yeah,
Like,
it
yeah, it was
felt sort of
rushed.
rushed. I love like all the interaction. To me, when Sentry gets introduced, he's crazy more powerful than all the Thunderbolts. So
Right,
it's like competition and stuff. So
correct.
the only way they could take him down was through his
His mind, yeah,
his mind and everything,
yeah,
which is fine and understandable and everything. But I sort of think that you needed to expand that a lot more because he had a lot going on in his head. He had the trauma of his dad, the way he grew up, going through
right,
all the different rooms and stuff. It's like, okay, now this is an interesting movie. That
right.
could have been expanded a little bit more. Maybe Century could have had his own, like,
That's what I'm
movie,
thinking. Yeah,
but all that got truncated into just them going and jumping into different rooms and then
right.
tackling them at hugging them at the end, and that's
Oh,
basically
that's like,
it's
yeah.
like
So I mean, yeah, the fact that the movie didn't necessarily have a real villain, I mean, I guess you can call the Void, but that's kind of like its power in a sense. So
mm,
like, Yeah, I can. I mean, I can appreciate not having a true villain, in the movie, and like you said, but like for as I'll say for as vulgar and as kind of like cool the movie was,
Hmm.
that psychological aspect of them like hugging it, you know what I mean? Like it was real edgy, and then you do that, and it's just like it was like ultra. I'll say that ultra anticlimactic. Like I was kind of
Yeah,
let down. You know what I mean? Like just like, oh, we're a family, Bob. Like, and then it's like how he psychologically fights the void or calms him down because he doesn't go away ever. Like
yeah.
it's kind of like Hulk is right now, right? He's kind of like that, like
Mhm.
professor state. He's like in his Zen state, so to speak. So
Um, and when you got when, but it's logical that they had to take him out like that. So
right.
as far as the logic and the through line of the movie and everything, that was really the only way you can do it. So it made sense for them to actually take him out just like that. So I'm not mad at the fact that it ended, that way, because through like the whole logic of the movie, that's pretty much the only way they could have took it out. It's just a little bit disappointing that it didn't have a lot more oomph. It
So we
didn't have a
needed,
lot,
that's the thing, we
know,
needed more
punch and
to
everything,
we needed
to
more
that ending,
to
you
get to
know.
the hug, or ultimately we needed more to get to the hug, like you're saying, as far as like more trauma or like more stuff. Or ultimately, what I would have liked to see is for like him to like fly off to space, like him fighting himself, like, hey, like I need to get my shit together internally, like,
Oh, that
and
that
him
would have
just
been,
fly, him like
yeah,
fly away,
yeah,
be gone, and
yeah,
then he comes
yeah.
back for Doomsday or
Right.
whatever, and that makes more sense. Like I didn't, you know what I mean? Like I just didn't
They
like how
they
they should have
they
just
sort of
pushed
like
him off.
they sort of like neatly wrapped it, so by the time it
Yeah,
comes back to Doomsday and everything, they're all just like there, and he's not coming back from, I like that. I mean, that would have been a great way to end it. Also, too, I think Marvel, unlike what I'm seeing with DC, DCU right now, Marvel is still trying to cater to that four quadrant. They're still
yeah,
wanting
we
to
talked
get
about it.
the kids, the adults. They want to still hit all the quadrants, so they still got to have their sense of humor, well, not even
Yeah,
sense of humor, but they got to have that balance of levity with
yeah.
like the trauma that they were trying to display. I would have preferred it to all be about like mental health, and
That's what I
also
was
the
hoping it
battle
was.
against that,
Yeah,
and for the characters, because all the characters had some. Winter Soldier, you telling me he
yes.
doesn't have trauma? You telling me Yelena does? Yelena
Yo,
start off the movie falling off the building.
John Walker's story about like him walking out on his wife and kid, bro,
Yes,
that was like some deep stuff,
yes,
especially when they were
yes,
going through the mind stages early in the movie. Yeah, like
yes,
that's what
yes.
I wanted. So when they did that, yeah, you're right. Like I was more
Every
in tune to,
Yeah, the,
and
the the
you
whole
know
the
what?
whole trauma and stuff.
That's I know that's been me. That's been my gripe with you as far as like I think even in the Black Widow movie when we discussed it.
Hmm.
Like, look, I'm all for some kind of humor, but like I told you before, like the Red Guardian, like I'm like I don't like it was forced. I don't like forced humor.
Like red,
Like,
right?
you know what I mean? Because you know why? We did this with Drax. It's like it's the same
Yeah.
character. Like, you know what I mean? They
Well,
did the whole Drax Destroyer thing,
yeah,
like the brute
it-
with like all the comedy and like I just thought this was because this was a darker tale and like there was
yeah.
points where the comedy was in there and I was like, this isn't like needed at all. Like I just you know what I mean? Especially like the whole limousine scene and stuff, like when it like starts really opening up. It's just like
Mhm.
to me, there's some of I mean the jokes are funny and it wasn't like crap, but
Uh, uh,
to me it felt forced. Like his
I,
humor was a little forced in the
I,
movie.
I, 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 I tend to agree somewhat, but I like that character. I do.
He's
I
fun.
like David Harbour as an actor.
Oh, yeah, he's
As
cool.
so,
I can't get over him as Hopper. Like to me, he's always Hopper. So I
yeah, he's
can't see
always
him.
hot for
I
Stranger
can't see
Things
him
and
outside of Stranger Things. Like
everything.
it's tough for me to see him do anything else.
But he carried pretty much the same thing that he did from Black Widow over
Right.
to this. So, like I said, I personally just like the character, so I didn't mind that. So, if that was the only like moment of levity as far as him just bouncing off the other characters, I didn't
Right.
necessarily like Valentina as much. Although I think her basically just playing her Veep role,
Hmm.
she's pretty much doing like that. I think
Yeah.
she has a I think this is probably the most well established she's been in any of the movies and shows that
Right.
we've seen so far. But it still gives the Marvel thing where like I was saying with like DCU stuff, you have James Gunn pretty much doing like his James Gunnish thing and everything. But one thing I'm seeing with what he's doing, I don't have you more watching Peacemaker so far?
Yes.
Okay. So like the second episode, was it the first episode? One of them episodes, they did a really hardcore scene, spoilers
Yeah.
for Peacemaker,
Yeah.
well, I'm not going to spoil Peacemaker for you guys, but they did some hardcore that they didn't do with Superman. And then with Superman, that was all four quadrant, you're going to,
Correct.
you can bring the kids and bring the family and all that stuff, have a good time. But some of the events that happened in that movie carried over into Peacemaker, which is
Yes.
strictly adult,
Yeah.
adult. Set the tone
Yeah.
where it's like you don't have any kids. We're still carrying over the story that's was established in Superman over in the Peacemaker.
Yeah.
We're not saying okay, but you don't have to watch
Correct.
Peacemaker in order to still be into like Superman and everything. So with
Hmm.
Marvel, they sort of like just are all over the place with their what they want to do. If they want to
Correct. Yeah.
deal with mental health, deal with adult stuff, they have to mix it in to be marvelized with their sense of humor, sense of levity, and everything. I would rather them establish a separate project and have a
Correct.
different tone with that those stakes and stuff, which I think DCU is trying to do. So different projects can have their different tones and not be for everybody, like Marvel is trying to make everything for everybody.
And I mean that echoes perfectly because I think Peacemaker, especially with this season two being a direct correlation to the next Superman. I forget the name of it already. Superman
Mm.
guy, the future, or future of tomorrow,
Man,
whatever it
it's
is.
Marvel.
But Man of Tomorrow, yeah. Which so that's leading into so this is canon leading into that movie. But I think that's what they wanted to do with with Deadpool and Wolverine, and even Deadpool and Wolverine was kind of scaled back to be more like it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was super less than the first one, so
It's still four
it's
quadrant
still
rated R. I mean,
yes for sure. Like what
only thing you're
they
having in that movie is just a lot of curse words.
correct, but yeah. So even how they dumbed that down, like you said, I expected the Thunderbolts to go more down that route of
Mhm.
having all that kind of stuff. And I mean, obviously, like we talked about, they lightened this movie up a lot more than I expected. But like I said, overall, super cool story,
Yeah, yeah,
well rounded. It's
yeah,
and for the characters they had.
yeah,
Um, I felt that everybody had ample screen time. Like it's not one of those movies where like, man, like who was so and so, or like so and so didn't get not enough shine. I think the
mhm,
character, like put it this way, this crew, it seemed like they've been acting together, like the way they bounce off each other, Ghost, everything. Like it was a really well put together movie, and the cast seemed like the synergy was like great. You know what I mean? The dialogue was not
yeah,
forced. Like I think that's one of the main things me and you've discussed on some of the shows is like forced dialogue. I don't think any of the dialogue in this movie at all was forced. It literally felt extremely natural, and that's something I've noticed a lot. Even when we talked about the DC stuff, and I'm a big fan of the Batman. Like,
mhm,
I love things, and I love casts that have synergy, and this is
yeah,
something
chemistry.
that's correct. Yeah, the chemistry and synergy throughout the cast and crew, and yeah, you can tell that this movie, everybody was happy on set.
Yeah, you pretty much had like the most unlikeliest of characters put into like a room and
Right.
told just go ahead and just do their thing because you would have never put any of these characters,
No.
in any type of thing and say, okay, this is going to be my movie. So I'm actually happy that Marvel took a chance to, to do something like this. That's why I was so happy that this got announced because it was going to be something different. A lot of people really didn't have confidence because you just put out Avengers and stuff. You want to put out Thunderbolts? Nobody knows who the Thunderbolts are. Nobody,
Right.
nor do they care. But this is them taking that chance. And fortunately, like I said, the movie passed to me.
Right.
And it ended up being a good, solid, solid structured, well directed, well put together, like film. Unfortunately, with the box office, it didn't do as well as they wanted it to. But my opinion on box office versus a movie actually being great or good is the fact that you got these characters pretty much new, to like the casuals. If you still want to put your four quadrant out, you're introducing, a whole new group and a whole new bunch of characters to like a bunch of people who, a lot of people who probably didn't follow the shows, didn't do the quote unquote homework or whatever, but you're introducing them to like a general audience. So if Marvel was bold enough to do Thunderbolts 2, especially after Doomsday and everything, I think you would get a much better response because now we're more established. You're going to be seeing the movies now more on TNT, TBS, and USA or FX or whatever. They're going to be repeatedly playing those on, Disney Plus, where you can view these movies like all the time. So it's still gathering and building up the audience. So take a chance on that Thunderbolts 2, because I think the chemistry, like you said, is solid between the cast to where I would love to see these characters in another project, outside of Doomsday.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, spoiler alert, I think you're going to get Thunderbolts 2 or New Avengers 2 as the MacGuffin for Doomsday. So you're going to see a lot more of them as they are one of the Avengers teams. But I'll tell you why this didn't do well, to be honest, Marvel, and why we're talking about this. If you look at the characters, not one of them even have a logo. So you think about it, you can't even market these guys. Like it's as corny as it is. None of these characters even have a logo that you can identify them with.
Yeah,
that's.
I didn't even think about that. You're right.
None of them have, not one character has a logo. So like you couldn't even like sell merch. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yelena's not even called Black Widow. She's
not even
she's a Black Widow, but she doesn't have any she's not even wearing a uniform in the movie.
No, none of them are. I mean, I guess the closest thing would be like US Agent, but he doesn't even have a logo. So,
yeah. They don't even call him US Agent,
No. So what is he? Just John in the movie? They just call him
just John in the movie, I mean, they don't go by none of their nicknames and
John,
stuff.
Bucky, like they're all like people. So there's not they don't have names and have logos. Like that's probably
I like the Wheaties stuff that they try to market them with. I thought that was like a good sense of humor and everything. So what does
that tie to? Does our kids even know what Wheaties are? Mine doesn't. I mean, we talk about, so they cater to the people again, but then you put out something else.
Yeah.
Because like literally, if they told any kid after 1998, so any kid after the 90s, and told them about the Wheaties reference, these kids don't even know. Do they even still put champions on the boxes anymore? I don't know.
Nope.
I don't know. But remember that was
outside of them showing that Wheaties box. I don't think I've ever thought about Wheaties until they said it.
Since the 90s, Wheaties died out. So that's what I'm saying. Like that's just nostalgia for us. So when they said that, it made me think like, oh shit, like I was literally thinking about it, like, bro, do they even still put the Super Bowl champions, the Stanley Cup champions on the Wheaties boxes anymore?
Right.
I don't know. I don't even walk in the cereal aisle, so I literally would know. I don't. I don't. So.
Yeah. I mean, I tend to stay away from all the sugary stuff. I may get some Golden Grams every now and then and everything if I got a taste for it, but for the most part, I'm not even walking down that aisle.
Plain Cheerios or plain Kicks, but even then, like, bro, like, come on, man.
Wheaties. Oh man. Well, I mean, they tried. And even with the it's all spoilers and everything for the Thunderbolts. So this is a review, so you should know. You should have been watching the movie.
Seen this. It's even free on Disney Plus now.
So and if you got a subscription to Disney Plus, you should be watching it. Anyway, so it's a good movie. The tag at the end, in post credit scene and everything. I watched it a few times, and I'm not gonna lie, it made me real hyped for when the music of Fantastic Four came up.
Of course,
the thing, I was like, okay, even already seen Fantastic Four, knowing the fact that that was coming, it was like, okay, I can't wait for Doomsday, for when that comes, they all come together. But just to have them for like 14, was it 14 months?
Yeah.
After they got announced that they were the new Avengers, and
Mm-hmm.
I sort of like the fact that they have their own sense of humor. That Marvel knows that nobody really knows them as the Avengers, so they
Right.
took that whole sequence at the end with like the music and all that stuff, the post credit music
Yeah.
and all that stuff, and had different scenes of newspaper stuff, clippings saying that this is not my Avengers, not my
Right.
Avengers, and everything. So I thought that was great. You know your audience, or you anticipate what your audience might say. Um, for them to announce that this was going to be the new Avengers, I think they sort of like overplayed their hand, with it. It was an asterisk the whole time with Thunderbolts. So
Right.
what is an asterisk for? What is an asterisk for? And then at the end, they sort of like announced that after the weekend it was going to be the new Avengers.
Right.
But I don't know how that really played with like
Well,
general
yeah.
audiences like that. It's like
No. So,
so
but that, yeah, it does. One again, that's a confusing thing because they told us they didn't want people doing their homework anymore. They wanted to dumb this down. Well, you had to know that new Avengers were there because why? Because the original Avengers, which is Sam Wilson, and they talked about it in the movie, and he has to build his own. So remember they're fighting with Sam. They said that in part of the credit scene, like
yeah.
like Sam's not happy because like he's still the Avengers and he's reassembling his new team. So we're the new Avengers. So it's makes people want to do homework, which in turn you would have to watch then, Captain America Brave New World and then do a little bit of homework. But yeah, the new Avengers thing kind of just debunked the fact that you don't have to do any homework, which like we talked about on the last episode, and we even did our kind of review after at the end of Superman and whatnot. Like if it just we can't you talk about we can't have four quadrants in movies. We can't appease everybody. Like if we're gonna dumb it down, like even this movie, I think it was fairly dumbed down. It just
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
watch it and I like it, but
yeah,
like
yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
I understand. Okay, me and you, you would have to duplicate us, thousands of times and everything
Right,
for them to make the money that they want back to do that. But generally, if you're putting out a product, especially if you're a Disney or Warner Brothers, you want as many people to come and see it with this so-called IP thing or whatever.
right,
Which is fine, it's fine, it's whatever and everything. But you putting out something big and spending as much money as that they spend on these things. You want as many people to see. My opinion: drop the budget, because you could do these things on
correct.
a much tighter budget and still have as good a quality without having to throw in all like the crazy special effects. I mean, you don't necessarily have to do all the flying and all the stuff that they want to do, especially with these characters, because they don't really have
Yeah,
any
this is
power.
bro. That's another thing, and that's the only negative to this movie, right? Sentry's the only superhero. So like you're right.
Yes,
Like the fact that I like bro, I think that he was
Ghost
off
has
this
her
movie.
like ability and everything, but
It's like a
that
cloaking type thing, but
yeah,
it's not like
yeah,
a like it, when they introduced him and showed his power level, like he's up there. Like to me, I thought he was like Adam Warlock because he was created. He was
right.
created by them. So
Mhm.
like I was just like, bro, this he's like has this cosmic power level. Like it didn't make sense for them to ever defeat him. So the fact that they kind of depowered him, but my understanding is like he can't be the Sentry because if he becomes Sentry, then Void is there. So like it's
Right.
like this like juggling this mental
Yeah.
juggling act he has to play.
Right.
So essentially that's why he's Bob because if he wants to power up and become Sentry, then like the void starts creeping in his mind, which is like
I
what
mean, it's
Venom
still a lot
was. If that
that
was
needs
like
to be
what Venom was
explained.
before Eddie like
Right.
got control back, right? So
Yeah.
and
Right.
it's like the parallel stories when you do look at DC characters and Marvel characters, like kind of like that duality in between both. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, how do you become the new Avengers when nobody's super? Like, that's another. You're right. When you talk about the Thunderbolt, to me, like this is Marvel's Suicide Squad, which is cool.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
and that's what
Yeah.
I expected. More like
Right.
more gunplay, more street style stuff. I, I don't know. And like I said, I don't want to be harsh on it because it was definitely a pass. But with them being more street style stuff, like I expected more like gunplay, like Black Widow or
Mhm.
like Captain America, the Winter Soldier, like you know what I mean? More like because you use guns and stuff. Like there
Yeah,
really wasn't none of that. It become supernatural to the fact that like everybody's trapped in the voids and
you're trying to put non-power folks up against a massive level
correct.
superpower. It's
Yeah.
not that he's like just okay, he could just fly. This is a massive level superpower here. And you
Cosmic.
putting
I
up
would
no
say it's
power.
cosmic level. Yeah.
Cosmic like, and you're putting up nobodies against him. I mean, I don't know about that. So that's why I say at the end they had to defeat him through his mind because there was no other way that
No,
that they
that's
could
why I'd
beat
rather
this
him
dude.
just like take off into like the sun or something. Like you
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like
yeah,
just kind of like what
yeah,
Vision did, right? Vision. That's where
yeah,
Vision is. He just took
yeah.
off into space, and we're like, do that with him because it just doesn't make sense. And then like, can we please stop taking Bucky's fucking arm off? Like, bro, it's like it actually aggravates me the fact that like
Yeah.
when the Wakandans did it, when it once it was all right. I get it once, but like, bro, I'm tired of the guy losing his arm. Like for real, like it's
Yeah,
corny.
I
Like,
agree. They already played that trick in Endgame and stuff. That was fine with Rocket Raccoon and all that stuff. But
yeah,
leave it there. He is. It's not a detach. It shouldn't have to be. Well, I did like when they did it in Falcon and the Winter Soldier when the Wakandans came in and
that's what I'm
just
saying. But they
disabled.
built it so they
Yeah,
can
they built
steal
it
it.
so the logic was there that they knew how to
But like
take it off
nobody
and everything.
else can take his
So
arm off.
yeah, yeah. He didn't even know that he could do that and everything. So that was like,
Exactly.
okay, all right, wow, that's crazy. Now he's able to just attach and detach, put it into a this is what I'm talking about. The scene where he put it right into like the dishwasher. You don't need that scene.
Bro,
That's
that's what
just
I'm saying.
that's
Yeah,
just
like
Marvel being Marvel. That's unnecessary.
that's what I'm saying. Like the forced humor, bro. Like it's not needed. It's
No,
vibranium. Like, bro,
no,
like think about it.
no.
Like as heavy as and like as whatever good as vibranium is, it doesn't like it doesn't need wash. It doesn't tarnish. Like if they really and this is like where it's not comic book accurate. And I'm like sitting there like, bro, you like we know this. We watch this. Like, what are you like? Are you mugging me off? Really?
Right.
That's what you know what I mean? Like it's vibranium. It's almost like you're making a joke of it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't
You
don't
know?
don't play us, especially like with the true
And
heads, that know
yeah.
all this
Well,
stuff.
and now, do we know where vibranium actually comes from, which is a celestial? Like, bro, it makes that even more crazier. Like, or no, I'm sorry, it's adamantium, which
Yeah,
we'll
animanium.
find
Yeah.
out is that, bro, it's getting crazy. I can't
Well,
wait for
I
your
mean,
review as well
you you
because,
you
like,
you brought you brought up another point, which I
adamantium
thought
was
was like a
adamantium, or
character
I'm sorry, vibranium was a moon
that
rock that landed right in the Wakandan.
in the
They're
Wakandas,
mining
but
it.
they
They're
still
mining
haven't.
that
Yeah, they still haven't revealed where that rock came from and
rocker,
everything.
yeah, whatever that is,
So
yeah.
but you brought up Sam Wilson, in the Avengers and everything, getting mad about them using the name or whatever. And I thought it was like the way we know Sam Wilson to be, he's like real easygoing and just wanting everybody to be together and just wanting to be, he's Captain America and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
for him for that dialogue, for them to say so Sam wants to copyright or trademark the name and everything. He's not letting,
Yes.
letting anybody else use it. I'm like, I don't think that. I think that's kind of out of character for Sam Wilson to even be
Right.
like that. Plus, he knows Bucky, So why
Correct.
aren't they? What is the background between that? Now that has to be explained. If something that was supposed to happen in Captain America: The Brave New World that we were supposed to see that led up to what that level of dialogue was in the tag in credits and everything. To me, that needs to be explained because it just doesn't make sense on why he would not want or sit up there trademarking the Avengers and stuff. Um,
Well,
it,
what?
it, it,
Yeah.
it doesn't make
It's.
sense.
I mean, well, so Bucky in this lineup makes no sense at all because if anything, like I get the Falcon being with Cap, but to me, Bucky is with Cap. Like Bucky should be with Captain America. He should have been
Right.
in Brave New World, and you could have had Falcon too. You could have had three people. I don't
Yeah.
think Bucky fits this. I mean, I don't know why they wrote out Baron Zemo. He was supposed to be like he was supposed to be Bucky. It's supposed to
Okay.
be Baron Zemo, but I don't know
Okay.
why they rewrote it. But Bucky doesn't fit these like outlaws because if we look at chronologically, he was like a fucking senator, like what 6 months before this movie, right?
And no
Senator Barnes.
explanation as to how he became a senator because he was an outlaw before it and everything. How do you become like a congressman senator?
Right.
Congressman is what he was.
Correct. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that whole storyline. So they had to quickly establish that in Brave New World and bring that over into
Like.
Thunderbolt. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, now all his
His
congressman stuff
political career is
relevant.
over. Yeah.
It's
Right.
done.
Yeah. He's not.
Like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
Why?
I just, yeah, I mean, yeah, if we're being harsh, yeah, Bucky didn't fit with that team. I really would like to see him with Cap, especially we talked about it when we did our review of the Winter Soldier in Cap that I thought their synergy together was great. Their actors are really good friends off camera. Like
Right.
I didn't think that Bucky needed to be part of this because I mean, I guess he's the only one that didn't fit. I mean, the dude's
Yeah.
like. I mean,
Yeah.
he's as good as a
If you
Red
look,
Guardian, right? I mean, he might be older than them, I believe, because
yeah,
he's like
yeah.
a
I
couple hundred
mean,
years old, right? Something like that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're both. I want to say they're both kind of old, but Bucky is like older and everything because they had the one scene in
He
the
was
truck
literally
where they
24.
were talking about how long or how did he did get the super serum, super soldier serum and stuff.
Yeah,
But Bucky didn't come into to being on the team until they got to that warehouse and Bucky
yeah,
tied him up and everything, and
yeah,
they had to go and then team up there. So we really already got the first ones established
yeah.
before then, as a squad, and then Bucky just jumped on, and then
Right.
eh, like I said, the chemistry to that aspect is sort of suspect, but nevertheless, in the end, Valentina, presents him as like the new Avengers and everything, and here we are. So I don't know how the storyline is going to be in the Doomsday. So I guess it's going to be a couple different Avengers, teams. Why that happens, I don't know. But like I said, here we are. We'll see how that goes. And I guess
I
to sort
mean,
of break
yeah,
to the back half of what we're going to be talking about with like future MCU and like
yeah,
crazy movie stuff, huh?
yeah. I mean, but they've kind of laid the plot out, right? I mean, there's going to be obviously Caps because we know it's going to be Captain America, Shang-Chi, which, bro, the internet, they're just wasting stuff. Disney's like leaking stuff out because if you saw the Shanghai release they just did the other day, Doctor
Mm-hmm.
Doom has the 10 rings. So Shang-Chi
Really?
loses a 10. Yes.
Okay.
Bro, it's I don't want to go into spoilers, so but yeah, it's just but that's public, it's not really spoilers.
Okay.
They did like a Shanghai they had like a Marvel like drone, like you know how they do the water shows, like the projection mapping on the water? Well, they did one for like Doctor Doom and it showed like his costume, which his suit is bad as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Um and yeah, he has the 10 rings. So but Shang-Chi's part of it's going to be Shang-Chi, America Chavez, She-Hulk. There's 5 or 6 characters, but that's the Avengers.
Oh, so
There's
they're bringing She-Hulk in. Okay, that's good. That's cool. I like the She-Hulk character.
yeah, you know that. But
Yeah, hopefully they do justice with her CGI and everything because they didn't
right.
do it on the series.
So yeah, they'll have her, and then they'll have the new Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
So those will be 2 different teams. They'll have the X-Men, and then they'll have Doctor Doom, in the Fantastic Four. So there's like the 4 kind of quadrants of teams, and I mean, I don't know how it's gonna work out. I'm sure that there'll be like in the beginning, like the whole Civil War thing, to where like they're fighting each other, then they end up fighting the X-Men for whatever. They're gonna get probably tricked into hating each other or something, but I don't know. I mean, like they wrote the movie. The leaks are out there. Obviously, there was a fight with Ryan Reynolds and um, Robert Downey Jr. So Ryan Reynolds
So
is
who I
writing.
don't see fitting, like how does Ryan Reynolds Deadpool fit into this?
They're right.
Like,
They're after that fight, they're writing him out. He's not
oh,
going to go to the.
I didn't. I don't think I would want him in the first place. Cause while Deadpool is Deadpool, he's so fourth wall breaking. Like, how do you even fit him in these type of movies?
Yeah, you can't have
Outside
his
his own.
humor and all his like weird shit. No, you can't do
Yeah,
that in a movie like this. The only reason he fits in because of the TVA aspect and he did what because they essentially created another incursion by
Right.
moving out whatever they call them. What do they call it? Universal, like whatever the beings you
Uh,
can't move. Like I
yeah,
forget that bullshit.
little tree lines and all that stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
no, the like when what's Wolverine? What is he called? Like a like when he said I'm Marvel Jesus. Like there's like a universal for each universe or each. There's like
Um,
a
I, I think I know what you're talking about, but I forget what they call it.
yeah,
So
but yeah, like the central being that like if you remove him out of there, yeah. So they moved Wolverine, which in
okay,
turn caused the incursion. So yeah,
okay,
it's
okay,
you
okay,
know what I
okay,
mean. So it's
okay.
I don't know, but
Is
Spider-Man,
Hugh Jackman supposed to be in this movie?
yeah,
I
because
know he's going to be in
I
Secret
but
War.
I don't know if we're getting the because they're bringing back. You saw the sheriffs. They're this is like the Fox finale. So they're
Yeah,
bringing
yeah,
back the Fox X. I think the Fox X-Men will be in this movie.
yeah.
In Secret Wars, we'll get the X-Men we want to see, which is the newer X-Men.
Hopefully not with Hugh. You know,
I don't know. I mean, what are we gonna do
I like
then?
Hugh, but
Well,
you
what
know,
are we gonna do? You ready for the recast? Because I think that'll be controversial as hell. But it has to happen. But
yes, yeah. I mean, I don't know who you recast. I mean, but he has to be recast. The guy's just getting too old. I
right,
mean, unless you're just gonna use old man Logan, he can definitely play that. But I
right,
mean, fans want to see younger Wolverine.
right.
They want to see like
Cool.
a guy that has on a costume and is out there jumping and
Yeah,
doing all the action stuff like we know
yeah,
Wolverine to do. I mean, Hugh can take on the part of old man Logan, and we know
yeah.
there's a way for you to to do both and all that stuff. But I mean, even though controversial, I think it's what the fans are
I
eventually
think
want.
you're right. I think there'll be a whole new cast. I mean, kind of like Gunn did with his what he's doing with his DC EU.
Right.
Yeah, there'll be a whole new
Yeah.
X-Men. Like I said, it's time, to move on to newer things. I mean, I, I'm still I'm still somehow holding out hope, and Marvel's Kevin Feige's come out saying that Blade is not dead. I don't, but that's not going to be part of the Infinity Saga, which I'm happy about.
Yeah. It
That's
doesn't
going to
need
be
to be.
like I'm cool with it being just like they did the like special presentation. That's all.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they don't even need to put the shit in theaters if they don't want to. Like
Right.
Disney Plus special presentation, hour and a half Blade movie. Like
Yeah.
about, and it's part of Marvel's like supernatural when they bring Moon Knight back. Um,
Okay.
I know they killed off. Uh, was it Black Knight? Yeah, Kit Harington's character. That bonus
Oh,
trailer at
okay.
the end of
Yeah.
the Eternals when he
Yeah.
found the Ebony Blade. Yeah, that's dead. They killed that. So we
Uh,
probably want to. Yeah.
Speaking of which, another underrated movie that was when you look back on hindsight compared to the
Oh
stuff
yeah.
they're putting out now.
Oh yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Bro, the
Yeah.
Eternals wasn't as horrible. I think it got the flack. We know why it got the flack,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
political
Yeah.
reasons and other things, and
Yeah.
gender
Yeah.
discrimination. So we know why it
Yeah.
bombed. But yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
liked it. Bro, come
Yeah.
on. If you have the budget to have Angelina Jolie in the movie, it's not shit. I'm just being honest.
You got an Oscar winning director, you
Oh,
got like top actors and everything. They tried.
yes.
It wasn't a perfect movie, but it was underrated to the point where that I think it still deserved another shot. I don't like it when
Well, there's yeah.
Marvel when they do things. That's why I'm afraid that may happen with Thunderbolts. I don't feel like it when it gets that sort of like non-box office feedback that they don't like, which I understand. You want to make money and everything, but they use that as a barometer for not doing certain things over again or whatever.
Right.
You know.
But I wish they had the same energy for everything else, right? Because
Yeah.
controversially, we talk about like all these female variants and projects. They keep pushing them out, but yet the Marvels had the worst box office in Marvel history.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
The
And and
worst in
and and
Marvel history,
and
and
you know what?
that was
Nia
intentional,
DaCosta,
and I
Nia
like the movie.
DaCosta, Nia DaCosta. She was the director of that movie. She just
Mhm.
did 28 days. 28 years later,
Years later,
the
correct.
sequel, to
Mhm.
that movie and everything. And I'm hearing that that's like a really good movie and stuff.
It is.
So it begs the question on whose fault really was it that that movie didn't do as well as it should have? Was it the director? She came out saying that, when you work on those type of projects, you're in there, you come into like a machine. They
DP, we've talked about this kind of evil empire with you being a writer,
right.
somebody who owns your own IP. It's different when you have, I don't even know their investors or who shows up in these Marvel meetings, but there's Feige and there's like probably 10 other people with what they want to see. And then they tell the director after she delivers a script, oh, you got to put this in. Well, you got to do this. Like, and and that's what happens when we have to check boxes and
check boxes,
I mean, because a lot of it's forced in the movies at that point.
Right.
You lose creative,
and you feel it as a fan, as a viewer, when stuff feels forced and unearned, or not given as much integrity to what you're putting out on screen. Marvel's probably could have been a well-made movie had they just let the director make the movie they wanted to make.
Dude, we talked about how big Multiverse of Madness was, how many characters they wrote out, like the Tom Cruise and the Iron Man variants and all that. Like none of that was there. Though, and you're talking to me, Sam Raimi, who created Evil Dead, who's done all these Oscar-winning Emmy-winning movies. He did a shit. He can't make a movie now. Like, how did that movie bomb, right? And bro, I love that movie just because of the variants and stuff. But it's another movie that was rushed and they put too much on. It was written and rewritten like 7 times, and it's just too many. It's not even too many cooks in the kitchen. We don't even get to the kitchen. I feel like there's too many cooks like writing the damn recipe is what it is before it even gets to the chef. You know what I mean? Like,
It's like you got all the cooks writing recipes and everything, and you sort of like, okay, well, why don't y'all just go ahead and make the meal yourselves? Why do you need me to come in to even do this and stuff?
It's 10 guys trying to tell a damn steak chef how to make a steak. Like, bro, they know. Let them make the steak. That's why they're here. That's why you hire them.
Yeah.
And we talk about it all the time. There's just too many people telling these directors who aren't like no name shit directors. Like, if they got some guy out of the blue, I'd fully understand it bombed. Like, how does every director who is great outside of Marvel?
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying.
And it's not even just Star Wars, bro. It's like it's not even Marvel. It's Star Wars. Like J.J. Abrams, everything is great. He comes on board, his movie's shit. Like, bro, they don't have to look internally like why this keeps happening.
Yeah, you're dealing with IP. You got like Star Wars is legendary with its own, like, it has to fit into this stuff, which is fine because that's just the conceit of it and everything. But still, you got these heads that are probably more marketing based that just feel that, okay, you need this, and this to make this movie sell.
It's just crazy.
To bring it back to Thunderbolts, I think it was still a well-made movie. It could have had some. They could have probably let the director, make the movie that they want to make, but it still ended up being as solid as it could have been, considering the fact that you had 9 well-known characters, lead the movie and everything. And like I said, for what the movie was, it was a definitely good pass for me.
For sure, definitely a good pass for me as well. It was a good movie and you said it, and we've kind of echoed this a couple times, for the way we've established these characters in only a couple short films. I mean, it was a good mashup of a team, right? It was a Suicide Squad, the bunch of, in most cases, anti-heroes coming together to kind of be the heroes while the Avengers are no longer right now, right? They're reforming, which is how this is the new Avengers or the secondary Avengers. So yeah, I mean, I thought the movie checked the boxes and what it needed to check, so to speak, as far as like why this team is here, what's going on in this current state. They answered, I think, all the questions, which is good for me. Like, I didn't leave this movie like with anything unanswered. Like, you know what I mean? There's movies you're like, well, why didn't they do that? They answer all the questions. Well, everybody's gone. Nobody knows where Thor is, and Captain Marvel's somewhere. Was they're looking for Monica Rambeau.
Right.
So they're somewhere, like, you know what I mean. Everybody's
Yeah.
somewhere. So this definitely checked all the boxes as to what it needed to check um, for the movie to be complete, which is kind of rare nowadays when we see these projects. There's nothing like they didn't really leave too many stones unturned. All the things I wanted to go and see and answered were answered for sure. So that's a big pass for me.
Yeah. So it basically leads us to whenever Doomsday ends up coming out in about the next couple of years. I know the next thing we're probably going to end up talking about is Captain America: Brave New World, because we didn't get a chance to talk about that
Right.
earlier this year. So like looking forward to it, because I think I already know what both of our pass or fails are going to be as far as that.
Mhm.
So when we get to that in about
I can't wait.
the next podcast, we will definitely check into that. Hey, thanks again for
Appreciate
checking
it.
us out. Make sure that you guys are definitely checking us out over on all our platforms, nerdcyclopedia.com. Make sure that you're leaving us some feedback at nerdcyclopediafeedback@gmail.com, so we're getting all your favorite feedback in as far as what we're doing, and if you agree if Thunderbolts should pass or fail and stuff. So thanks again, and we will see you when we see you guys and everything. All right. You got me excited about to talk about Brave New World, man, because I got a whole